everybody, Ken Johnson, First Alert 6 Chief Meteorologist at News Channel 6 in Wichita Falls, Texas here, and we are, when I do these YouTubes and Facebook little video updates here, I'm kind of looking at the weather pattern as a whole for the country here. It's not just focused just right on top of where I'm at, because the weather that impacts other parts of the world may impact us down here into Texas too, but it also could impact other areas as well. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking at the time period, and we're almost to February. Hard to believe, but we're almost to February now. We're talking about early to mid-February, and during the month of February, there can be some really, really big weather pattern extremes here. You can get Arctic air. It can be extremely cold, and then it can be really warm. And sometimes in February, you start to begin to see the at least beginning patterns of severe weather across the United States, the spring severe weather season. That really doesn't kick in much until later in March and April, but sometimes in February, you can see it as well. So this is the jet stream, the way things look, the weather pattern. Jet stream, 20, 30,000 feet in the atmosphere. I talk about this all the time. Jet stream is like a what? It's a river of wind, but it's like water. Remember, the atmosphere behaves a lot like water here, and with that river of wind, you got storm systems that ride along it, just like a boat would, riding down a river stream here. So you see a big dip in the jet stream out west. This is a very typical La Nina weather pattern, by the way, and there's going to be some bitterly cold air up here in Canada, and some of that's going to try to spill south into this dip from time to time. Now, on the flip side of that, notice how it lifts up over the southeastern part of the country. You have what's called a bit of a ridge here. Atmosphere expands a bit like a mountain sometimes, and as that happens, it kind of keeps the jet stream north, and because the jet stream can't go around it. It's like a mountain. Water can't go through a mountain, right? It kind of goes around it here. So that's what we're seeing here, potentially anyway. With this type of a weather pattern, where the dip is in the jet stream, you get low pressure. That's usually associated with cooler or colder weather. And where you see that expansion or a little lift in the jet stream, it's called a ridge. You get high pressure there. This is in the upper atmosphere. That's usually associated with warmer air in this type of a scenario. So with this type of weather pattern, we got really cold air trying to come in from Canada. You got our ridge down here over the Gulf that's keeping it warm down this way. So that cold air is real heavy and real dense. Warm air is not so much. It's real light and buoyant. So when cold air comes in, it's too heavy. It's going to sit there. Warm air can't move in, can't replace it, but it tries to. So you get this battle zone between the warm air to the southeast and the bitterly cold air up north. And right there in between could be some pretty big temperature extremes. And there also could be maybe some weather extremes as well. Sometimes this type of a pattern can lead to some fairly significant storm systems. And with that said, I need to go back one here. There could wind up being, in the warm side of things, could be some thunderstorms here. Remember what I said, the beginnings, at least the beginning hints of severe weather in February. We could see some of that along the Gulf Coast here. And then back into where the cold area is, as that warm air tries to move in, it can't push it out of the way. So what happens is it goes up over the cold air at the Earth's surface. And that could be a favorable pattern for ice across the central and maybe even southern plain states. I'm not forecasting that. I'm just saying the weather pattern could favor this. It's possible. Some weather information tries showing that here. So with that said, there could be some pretty good battles here going on, and there could be some ranges in temperatures, and we could be looking at some pretty good swings in temperatures as well. So you got that battle zone, which one's going to win out here. So if you can see here, at least through the very earliest parts of February, you've got the warm air centered over a good part of the southern and central United States. There's your cold air back up here over Canada and the North Pole, underneath the polar vortex. But as we get into, let's say, around the 3rd or 4th, you're beginning to see some cold air try to spill down out of Canada here, and some of that makes a run. So I'm talking about, there's your battle zone. Warm air down here over the Gulf, and then you got the cold air, bitterly cold air, trying to drop into the central and southern plain states. So if this scenario were to play out around the 4th and we were to get one of those storm systems, like I said, that could result in some precipitation chances across the country here. But watch what happens here. We're going to put this in motion. Cold air doesn't last too long, begins to push on out. You got to warm up, but then here comes some more cold air maybe. That's what I'm talking about. I don't think we're done with winter by any stretch. I think we're going to see some more cold weather. We may even see some more winter weather as far as ice and snow goes. but we will see also some warm weather from time to time. Spring isn't that far off, folks. Hard to believe, again. We'll be through February really fast and into March. It'll be spring break before you know it. Everybody, have a great evening, and we'll just keep an eye on these temperatures and weather patterns as we head into February.